For a long time, I told myself a very specific story about what it really meant to make it. In my 20s and 30s, I honestly thought that success was a collection. I was always about having the newest design by a certain designer. I had a collection of bags, the newest clothes. Everything had to be the right label. I had so many pairs of shoes that even if I wore a different pair every single day, I could go an entire month and never wear the same pair twice. And the funny thing is, even after I had my son and my shoe size changed because my feet actually got bigger, I just went back to buying more of them. I didn't even think about it. At that stage of my life, financial freedom, it looked like making enough money that if I wanted to buy something, I didn't have to question it. I didn't have to blink if I couldn't afford it. In America, I discovered that as long as you have a job that pays well, you keep making the payments, they just keep giving you more credits. They kept increasing my limits. So I just kept buying everything on a credit card. And for me, being responsible at the time just meant paying off the balance in full at the end of the month. So I'd see something that I liked and I just bought it. I decorated my apartment with fancy curtains and bed sets, things that I didn't even need. But today, at 50 years old, I'm looking at the receipts of that lifestyle. And I'm realizing that I was paying a hustle tax for a version of success that was actually just a burden. I am slowly building a different kind of financial freedom now. It's not happening overnight, but I am taking it one step at a time. Slow and steady wins the race, right? I remember that I used to absolutely hate moving because every time I was packing my stuff, it was a reminder to me of how much stuff I had accumulated that was just sitting there collecting dust in storage. I would rent places specifically because the apartment heater had a nice storage closet or we had a storage in the parking garage, just so I had place to put all the stuff that I had accumulated. And as I was approaching 50 years old, looking at all those things, it became overwhelming. And I realized that I had so much of money tied up in things that I was working to pay for, and I didn't even have time to enjoy them, really. Think about the irony of that. I was working so hard to pay for things that were sitting in a box in a garage or in a store. Yeah, in a box in a garage. Now, people might say I feel this way because I never had those things. Listen, I grew up in a house in Haiti that had 18 rooms. My house in Haiti, where I grew up, was the size of a mansion. If I had to put a price tag on that house compared to a house the same size in Massachusetts, it would be easily a $10 million house, if not more. But the difference was that in Haiti, my mom would hire people to maintain the house for us. So when I moved here and I was doing everything myself, I realized that luxury in America just meant more work for me. And cleaning all this stuff and maintaining it, it became extremely overwhelming. I realized that I didn't want to be a manager of my own possessions anymore. I just wanted to be a person again. And the thing that really solidified this realization for me was when my father fell very ill. My dad always used to say when I was growing up that he wanted to make sure that he spent all his wealth before he died. He did not believe in leaving all his wealth for his children because he wanted us to build our own and work for it. So one time he decided to go back home to Haiti to take care of some business stuff, and it was right at the height of COVID. And I remember telling him not to travel around that time, but he went anyway. And he didn't even get to taking care of that business. He got sick and checked into the hospital on a Friday. By Wednesday morning next week at 3 o'clock in the morning, he passed away. All that talk about spending all that money before he died, none of it happened. All the stuff that he accumulated, it just sat there. I have never seen a funeral procession with a U-Haul behind a hearse carrying all your stuff with you to bury with you. You can't take the designer bags with you. You can't take the 18-room mansion with you. It was a reminder to me that stuff is just stuff. And we get this dopamine rush from buying all this stuff. But then we turn around and we work so hard for it. I decided that I was done with that cycle. And gradually, I started changing the way that I feel about those things. I stopped caring about designer, whatever. And I realized I just need a bag. In fact, I stopped carrying huge bags around because it was just exhausting. Once I have my wallet to leave the house, I'm good. And if I have 2 or 3 pairs of shoes now, I'm good. I do not need 10 pairs of shoes. I watched my parents age and I realized that at the end of the day, comfort is the only thing that matters. I don't need a mansion anymore. And I am officially done with stairs, by the ways, because I grew up in this big 2-story home with a gigantic balcony. And honestly, big stairs, I don't need any more of those things. Having more stuff is just more stuff for me to clean, more stuff for me to maintain, and more stuff for me to arrange. It's exhausting. And I've been simplifying my life in a lot of areas too. I even switched to digital books because dusting off a big library became overwhelming. And I want enough to live comfortably now, not luxuriously. So, what am I actually doing right now to build this financial freedom in my 50s? I'm taking the slow path. I remember when my financial responsibility was just making the payments. Now it's about making the payments go away. I am making smarter and slower purchasing decisions, that's for sure. And I look at things now and ask myself first, do I really need all that stuff? And usually I realize that I don't. I do not do the storage thing anymore because if you haven't used something in a year, you don't need it. And I remember paying one time for storage almost for a year and never going in there at least once to look at those things. So finally, we just let it go and we let the place auction off the stuff. Another thing that I'm doing, I'm also simplifying how I move through the world. I used to travel with 2 suitcases full of stuff and check the bags. Now, if I'm traveling, I just need a backpack and a carry-on. Everything I'm going to wear, even if I'm staying for a month, it has to fit in the backpack and the carry-on. If it doesn't fit, it's not going. And that is such a freeing thing, knowing that I can fit my whole life into a bag and just get up and go. That's it. Now, let's talk about what happens to your brain when you have too much. When I lived that mindset of more, I never felt settled. I was always looking for the next thing, the next bag, the next set of fancy plates for my apartment, the next dopamine hit. But the problem with dopamine is that it has a very short shelf life because you buy the item, you feel great for an hour, maybe a day or two, and then the newness of it wears off and you're just left with the maintenance of it. I realized also that I was spending thousands of dollars a year just to maintain things that I didn't even like that much. Dry cleaning bills, storage fees, insurance. It was a tax on my time. At 50 years old, I am auditing where my time goes. And I decided that I am no longer willing to spend my life force on objects. And I am revoking access to my wallet for anything that doesn't add real functional value to my day. If it takes more than 5 minutes to clean, I do not want it. If I can't carry it myself, it's probably too heavy for my life, anyways. I am also applying the same logic to my finances that I am applying to my closet. Because slow, steady, minimal, I'm putting money into my IRA account every month. It is not a flashy number. It's not the kind of get rich quick story that you see on YouTube. No, it's not. But I've learned that the peace of mind that comes from a growing balance is worth more than any designer label. Because I'm betting on 65-year-old Webley. I want her to have the freedom to say no to work that she doesn't love. I want her to have the freedom to stay in the wild and travel light without worrying about a mortgage. That is the true definition for me of luxury at 50 years old. Not the stuff that you own, the stuff that you do not have to worry about. Building financial freedom at 50 years old isn't about the collection, it's about the weight. And I am reclaiming my time and my peace of mind and my wallet. So now I want to hear from you in the comments. What is the one thing that you've realized that you actually don't need anymore? What are you letting go of so that you can finally breathe or be out of debt? So I'm reading every single word that you write, and because we have to redefine success together. All right, I'm Webley. I am 50 years old, and I am finally choosing comfort over collection. I'll see you tomorrow.